All right, so like I was saying, we were looking at how to use decomposition, composition, different strategies to be able to find the volume of composite shapes. Now, composite shapes are shapes that don't really have a name. They're usually these weird, wacky looking things that we don't have a certain formula to find the area of. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this first problem. We'll do this one together, and pretty much the rest after that is going to be completely up to you and your partner. Or your small group, actually. So we do in groups of 3.
Oh my God.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick to Kendall's theory. He said if we go ahead and find the volume of 1 cube, count how many cubes we got, we should be able to go ahead and put it all together, right? All right, so we're going to do that. So it says right here, consider the solid shown. Find the volume of the solid when the edge length of each cube is 1 unit. Okay? So let's go ahead and figure out how many cubes we got. So if we take a look down, I'm looking at the bottom down here. We've got 1, 2, 3 that go across, and 1, 2, 3 that are deep. So how many cubes do you think make up the bottom down there?
3.
How many?
9.
9. Because it's gonna look. If we look at the bottom, it's gonna look a little something like that, right? So 9 cubes down here at the bottom. If we do the same thing on the next layer, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So how many cubes do you think make up the next layer? Also 9. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now we gotta look at those at the very top. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So the top layer has 4. Add all that up together. How many total cubes do we have?
22.
22.
Period. I didn't even have to think. I just said that out.
Okay? So, if we are looking at one of those cubes, so here's one of those cubes, and part A is telling us that it's got a edge lengths, all of the edges are equal to, not 3, why am I writing 3?
1.
Equal to 1. So we're going to go ahead and do volume. This is a rectangular prism, right?
Yep.
So I can do length times width times height. What's my length on this cube? 1. What's my height?
1.
I mean my width, 1. Height, 1, right? So what is my volume?
1.
1. So if each of these cubes is equal to a volume of 1, what's the volume of the whole thing?
1.
No, you gotta add on
The whole figure.
22.
22. If we got 22 cubes and the volume of one of those has a volume of 1, that means the volume of the whole shape is 22 units cubed. Squared area.
Cute.
I can't even see.
Okay? We're good with that one?
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at part B now. Well, now they're going to change up our measurements on our cube. So now our cube, here's our little cube right here. Now they say, you know what, let's change up the sides. Each of the edges is now equal to 1/2. So we got a height of 1/2, a width of 1/2, and a length of 1/2. But it's still a cube, right?
Yeah.
So volume is equal to length times width times height. That's going to be 1/2
times 1/2
times 1/2.
times 1/2.
And that gives us 1 times 1 is 1 times 1 is still 1. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. So each one of those cubes has a volume of 1/8. And if we got 22 cubes, we multiply it times 1/8. Gotta put a 1 under the 22. That gives us 22 over 8. Somebody simplify that for me and let me know what it comes out to.
8, 16, 2 is 6 over 8. 2
So-
is 6 over 8.
So 2 3/4 or 2.75.
So either way, y'all say it's correct.
It's the same number. 2 3/4, 2.75, same exact thing.
But this is the same for me.
So make y'all dance.
So, how did the volume change when the edge length of each cube was 1/2 unit instead of 1 unit? How did it change?
Because,
What do you mean by that?
It did what?
decrease? No, it increased.
Well, what? See how we can explain this. When it was in part A, the volume was 1, right? Of each cube. And then in part B, the volume of each cube was 1/8 of that. So it was 1 in A, and then it became 1/8 of A, right? So do you think the total volume here, we had 22, and now we got 2 3/4. Do you think 2 3/4 is 1/8 of that?
Yes. Yeah.
It is, right? Because if we took our cube and we shrunk this cube down by 1/8, the total volume is also 1/8 of what we originally started with.
Yep.
Okay? All right, so now we can go ahead and start getting into our groups. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm thinking we can go with what we got right here. 1, 2, 3.
No, Charles, slow down. No.
The mine.
1, 2, 3.
I gotta have a mixture. I gotta have a mixture,
They need slow turn with smart turn, so the slow turn can try to learn.
basically. That's what I'm
They
getting at.
not going to, but he still gotta do it. Common sense.
So Demai, I think you could really help you, Sean.
No.
We can in groups of 2 or 3.
Go.
3.
I'm good.
All right, so again, we are using decomposition, and pretty much most groups, like I said, decompose their shape,
The height is
and it went down the bottom right here. I'm trying to catch Winter back up. Calm down, hang on. All right, so they cut it down right here so that we don't even have to worry about this prism for the moment. We're going to worry about this tall one, and we're trying to find the volume of that prism. So that's going to be volume is equal to area of the base times the height. To find the area of that base, which I have shaded in green, that is 5 times 3. And if that is on the ground, God bless you, this line right here would be our height. So our height is going to be 4. So we've got 5 times 3, which is 15, and 15 times 4 is 60.
Papa, get some tissue.
Yes. Okay, so that's the volume of that particular shape. Now we can go ahead and take a look at the next prism, which is going to be that smaller one down here. Also, volume is equal to area of the base times the height. So we are looking at this small little rectangle right here that I'm going to go ahead and shade in yellow. That's going to be my base. So if this whole line right here is equal to 7, and I look on the opposite side, this side is 3, that means that this side right here is 4. Because 4 plus 3 equals to the 7, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be 4 times 2. That's going to be the area of the base. Is going to be 4 times 2, which is going to give me the 8. And our height, if we lay that down, this would be our height again. It's going to be a height of 4. And that's going to give me 32. So then we do 60, the volume of the first prism, plus 32, the volume of the second prism. That gives me the volume of the whole thing is 92. Okay? So, I'm trying to talk right now.
That group on side.
The Maya and them, they went ahead and cut theirs this way. Still decomposition though, right?
Yeah.
Okay? So, still we do it the same way. I'm not going to write it down, but it's going to be decomposition. You don't have to write this way down. I'm just going to show you that it's still right. So if you find the volume of the bottom prism, and this front piece is still a base, We got a 7 and a 2. That's going to be 14 times 4. So the volume of that is going to be 56. That's the bottom. And then if we look up on this side, if this whole line right here is 5, but this is 2, that means that this is 3. So that's going to be 3 times 3, which is 9, times my height, which is going to be 4. That's going to be 36. And you add 36 plus 56, and that's going to give you 92 all the same. Okay?
I think the way the other people did it was easy.
No, I find this really
All the same thing. So it's just a different strategy. It just depends on how your eye sees it. Whatever way your eye is looking at it, I would say just go with that. Now, so y'all did decomposition. Everybody in here decomposed it, which is natural. That's how I normally do it too. But there are other ways to do this. So if we do decomposition, we can do the opposite of that and do composition. So this I do want you to write down. This is the second method, second strategy that we can do this by. All right, so to do composition, it takes a bit more of an imagination. Because what I need you to think about doing is that if we add, instead of having this blank space right here, and I'm going to try to use a little bit of my drawing skills if I can, I'm going to be looking to pretend like I'm adding a box right here. Alright, so I just added this piece and connected it to my already there piece. That make sense? Understand what I'm doing here? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the volume of the entire thing, including the box that I just drew. So volume is equal to area of the base times the height. If we consider all of this to be my base, I should be very easily be able to find that answer. That's going to be 5 times 7. So my base is going to be 5 times 7. And then if that's laying on the ground, my height is still 4. So that's going to be 35 times 4, which is 140. Way bigger than the number we had just a second ago, right? But now I'm going to go and I'm going to find the area of just the piece that I drew. So I'm going to find the area of this base right here. So let's see if I can figure out how long that is. Let me see if I can get a darkened picture. There we go. So if this one's 7 and this one's 3, that means that this is 4. If this is 5 and this is 2, that means that this is 3. So my base volume is equal to area of the base times the height. My base is going to be 4 times 3. And my height is still going to be 4. That's going to give me 12 times 4, which is 48. And now, instead of adding them together, I'm going to be subtracting. 140 was the whole big old thing, minus the part that I don't want. And if you got 140 minus 48, you get the same exact answer of 92.
For the test, we have calculators too?
Yes. Or do you think you don't need calculators?
No, calculators.
Oh, okay. All right.
It takes less time out.
That'll work for me. So, we did decomposition, we did composition. The only other method that we have doesn't really have a name. It's just called understanding a prism. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So, if I have a real true understanding of prisms, I can do this problem without decomposing or composing it. I can take a look at this prism and say, alright, if I'm looking at the base, and this is the part where the method that I usually do in my homework is really going to help me out with this. So if you watch me do the homework, you saw that I had drew some pictures, right? When my bases were really a funky looking picture and I couldn't figure it out that great, I went ahead and just drew it on the side. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw what that base looks like. And I'm talking about the front of the image is my base.
You want us to do this too?
Sure. So then if I go ahead and put my numbers on here, I've got a 5, a 7. I'm not going to put them all down, but you know what I'm talking about. That's going to be 5. That's going to be 7. This piece over here is a 2. This one's a 3. This is a 3. And then I know that this number right here is a 4. Huh?
Kids, look on your paper.
A 3? It's a 3? God bless you.
Bless you.
So all I'm really going to do here is I'm going to take a look at it and be like, okay, I can go ahead and just find the area of this base. So volume is equal to area of the base times the height. And if I go ahead and I'm going to decompose it like all of y'all did, I'm going to go ahead and just draw a line right here and worry about the base. So I've got my first shape right here. And I'm going to go ahead and write it down. So the area of this base, that's going to be 5 times 3. Plus the other part that is right here, that's going to be 4 times 2. So that's my area of my base. I'm going to put all of that in some big parentheses. And then I'm going to multiply it times the height of the actual prism. So if this base is on the ground, 4 is still my height. So I'm going to go ahead and put my 4 out here. So that's going to give me 15 plus 8 times 4. 15 plus 8 is going to give me 23. And if I do 23 times 4, that's going to give me the volume 92.
Only different way that we still get the same.
Exactly. So 3 different strategies, actually 4 different strategies if we talk about y'all's, right? So that was still decomposition, but a whole different strategy of how to break that down. So 4 different ways we did it, still got the same answer. Now, does it matter which way you do it, obviously? No, you do whatever way is easier for you. Me personally, when I'm going to do a problem, I'm doing it this way, the last way, understanding the prism. Because I'm better off looking at just the base, picking out what my base is going to be, decomposing it, doing whatever I got to do to it, and then just multiplying it times the height. That's me. If your brain works better by breaking it down into 2 different prisms, you know, and doing like I did in your groups when I put my hand over one prism and you found the volume of the other one, and then covering up the other one, you know, do it that way. Whichever way works best for you. Any questions? All right. So then let's go ahead and take a look. I want you to do, the book says that I should give you 10 minutes to do this, which sounds good to me because that'll put us at about 9:50. So 10 minutes to do, what's my instructions?
You said that you were going to give us 10 minutes to do these.
To do what?
The next question?
No,
Oh, well.
numbers 3 through 6. What's your group? 3, 4, 5, and 6 is the problem I need you to work on. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alright, so we could have had a bunch of different ways, as you can see right here, how to solve these problems for 3, 4, 5, and 6. For me, it all depended on what the picture looked like. So I actually used all 3 strategies. So for number 3, and I'm going to bring the picture up so we can talk about it. For picture number 3, I was like, okay, I might could use composition for this one, but then I was like, no, because I don't want to put another prism, triangular prism on top. So then I figured I'm just going to use decomposition and do the area, find the volume of this triangular prism first, and then I'm going to find the volume of this rectangular prism, and I'm going to add them together. So if you look right here, that's exactly what I did. I did the volume of the triangular prism first and got 72. And then I did the volume of the rectangular prism and got 288. And then I added them together. So the triangle was 72, the rectangle was 288, and I got a total volume of 360.
We didn't get
All right.
What we did
I got
wrong?
this one.
Oh, you was close. We was close.
You act like we're hard on you.
We got the 288 part.
So, but the only way my work's gonna be the same as yours is if you did the same steps as me. Like you broke it down and looked at it the same way I did.
We put a 5 as our height instead of a 6.
Okay, everybody good with that one?
Hold on, sir.
No.
Wait, I did
So I go to the bathroom.
as our height.
No, I'm saying we got that part right with the 288. It was just for number 3. I put a 5 as the outside of our height instead of 6.
So the height was for the triangle.
Wait, sir.
For the fourth one, instead of breaking this down into 3 different prisms, I said, you know what? I'm just gonna focus on this base right here, this top part.
That's what we speak.
And this one I did understanding prism part strategy. So I went ahead and I drew it so that I could see it better. Wrote a few numbers down, and then I just worried about finding the area of the base. We were all pretty good with doing that in our test, right? Imagine.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and did that. So I've got the first rectangle right here is 9 times 4, because if this whole thing is 8 and this part's 4, that means that this part's 4. So this big rectangle, I got 9 times 4. And then the small ones, if all the way across here is 9, but this one's 3, and all of these are the same size, that means this is 3, 3, and 3. So I did 4 times 3 for that one, and 4 times 3 for this one. Okay, now again, your numbers might be different. If you drew lines going up right here, even that is going to make your numbers different than mine. But the answers should still be the same. So then I went ahead and found all the areas of those 3 rectangles, 36, 12, 12. Add them all together to get the area of my base, which is 60. Multiplied it times 2, which was my height. That you can see right here. The height of this prism is 2. And then went ahead and multiplied those 2 to get my total volume, which was 120. And it would be feet cubed.
Oh, you did that way different.
But still got the same answer, right? Okay? That's why it's hard for me to show it. Unless I sat up here and did all 3 strategies, it would be hard for me to tell you exactly what you did wrong. So like on the test, I'm probably going to have to do all 3 strategies so I can check you.
For each question?
Yeah. Or if I do like I did on the last test, where if somebody did it different than me, I just solved it right then and there for that part. This one only, in my mind, there was only one way that this particular problem would work. Now, if you did something different, your mind works completely different than mine. I said for 5, the only way I can do this is by composition. So I found the volume of the whole cinder block, because that's what it looks like to me, as a cinder block. And then it said that these were square prisms. Right, Kenzie?
Yes.
So I found the area of the whole thing. Then I found the area of I found the volume of the whole thing. Then I found the volume of each part of these and subtracted them out and did composition. So I'll show you how I did that right here. I did the whole thing, which was 15 by 8 for the volume, for the area of the base. So 15 times 8 gave me 120. The height was 6. So I got 720 for the whole thing. And then for the piece that I wanted to take out on the inside of the cinder block, it told me it was a square. So my base was 5 times 5. My height was still 6. So each one of those squares is 150. But how many I got to take out?
2 of them.
2 of them. So over here, I did the whole block was 720. Then I took out one 150 and got 570. And then I took out the second 150 and got 420. And that's the volume of the whole cinder block, I guess you can call it.
I know how to do that.
Huh?
I know how to do that.
Any questions right now?
No.
Comics.
Mine be on 5, maybe on 6.
Comics.
No.
I have a lot of concerns.
That I know I'm finna fail this test.
Alright, so then the last one, if you look at the top, that's going to be your base. We can't use none of the rectangles or squares around it because that just makes it a prism. So I went ahead and used understanding prism strategy for this one. I went ahead and drew my base so that I can have something that I can, write on. If you in your book, you can change the picture right there in front of you. But I'd rather just look at it as it's just a 2D shape. So I went ahead and decomposed it into a rectangle and a triangle. if this whole thing was 4 1/4 and this piece was 2, I knew that the base of this triangle was going to be 2 1/4. And then I changed it all to decimals. So I got my rectangle right here is 3 and 2. And then my triangle is base is 2.25. And then a 3 and dividing it by 2. Huh?
Well, we got all of them wrong.
So then I went ahead and did my rectangles area was 6. My triangles area was 3.375. Add that together, my area of my base is 9.375. And then I multiplied times the height of the whole prism and got 14.0625. But if I would have left it as a fraction, I would have got 14 1/16. Forgot my 1. 14 1/16.
Question.
Yo,
You would have got it wrong, right?
huh?
You would have got that wrong, right?
I got what wrong?
I said we would have.
The money looks.
Oh yeah, if I had left it at 14 1/6, yeah. I mean, I'd have looked at your work and been like, hey, I see what you did. They just got to put the 1. I'd have gave you full credit if I'd have seen that. But yeah, it technically was the wrong answer. Any other questions?
No.
Okay.
Wait, I didn't.
We got homework.
I'm sorry.
How do you do 14 and 1/16?
14 and 14.0625 is the same exact thing. In your calculator, I want you to do 1 divided by 16. And on your calculator, it's going to say 0.0625, right? People, shut up, stop moving, stop. You're making too much noise for me to even hear what she's doing.
You said 1 divided by
1/16 means 1 divided by 16. Do 1 divided by 16 on your calculator.
it gives 0.0625.
0.0625, right? So everything that's behind this decimal is the same exact thing as 1/16.
Okay.
That's all that means. Any other questions? Yes, you do have homework. Because we need to practice this stuff. Don't stop so I can tell you. I don't know why y'all even worry about packing up right now. Because you still got 3 minutes. I'm gonna make this last till 3 minutes because you pack it up.
Why is you fully packed up? Like we not going
And we're still
nowhere.
making stupid random noises. And this boy is still in his Chromebook. I'm gonna give you a mark. It's the 3rd time. Whatever work you got to do, it ain't in this class. So the practice starts on page 505, but we're not doing none of those little easy cube things. I want you to do 5, 6, and 7. And that's it. That's
25,
good.
5, 67.
5, 6, and 7, those are the type of problems that are going to be on your test on Thursday.